Every single day there is a battle happening around you. You cannot hear it. You cannot see it, but it is there. And the worst part, it is coming from the people you trust the most. You do not notice it at first. It starts with a simple comment, a conversation that lingers in your mind, a moment of doubt that was never there before. Over time, these small influences shape you. They shift your thoughts, weaken your confidence, and make you question yourself. The most dangerous part is that it happens slowly. By the time you realize it, you are no longer the same person you once were. This is why the Stoics believe that wisdom begins with awareness. You must learn to see things as they truly are, not just how they appear on the surface. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." That means the people around you, the conversations you entertain, and the energies you absorb shape you more than you realize. Most people do not realize it is happening until it is too late. They wake up one day feeling lost, disconnected from who they used to be. But it does not have to be that way. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. Once you recognize these forces, you take back your power. You regain control over your thoughts, your emotions, and, most importantly, your peace. That is exactly what we are going to explore today. How to recognize the hidden influences that shape your mind. How to protect yourself from forces that work against you. And how to build a mindset so strong that no one can pull you off your path. Stay with me, because every part of this message connects. And missing even one piece could mean missing the exact insight you need right now. Number 1. The silent forces that shape you. Some of the biggest forces shaping your life are not the ones you see. They do not announce themselves. They do not demand your attention. Instead, they work in the background, influencing you in ways you barely notice. It is the words people repeat around you, the energy they bring into your space, the attitudes they carry. Influence does not always come in the form of direct advice. More often it slips in quietly, shaping your thoughts until one day you wake up feeling different, thinking differently, and you do not even know why. The Stoics understood this. They knew that the world is full of distractions, opinions, and external forces trying to pull you in every direction. That is why they focused so much on guarding the mind. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to be careful of what he absorbed, filtering out anything that did not align with reason and virtue. He understood that we become what we allow to shape us. If you are surrounded by negativity, doubt, and fear, you start to internalize it. If you spend enough time with people who see limits instead of possibilities, you start seeing them too. Most people do not realize this is happening. They believe their thoughts are their own, but they are not. Every conversation, every repeated phrase, every interaction leaves a mark. You wake up feeling fine, but after a conversation with a friend who always complains, you feel exhausted. You make a decision with confidence, but a single doubtful look from a family member makes you rethink everything. A colleague who subtly undermines you plants doubt in your mind, making you question your abilities even when there is no real reason to. It does not happen overnight. It happens slowly. A single negative comment does not change you, but when you hear it over and over again, it starts to settle in your mind. A casual doubt from someone close to you does not seem like a big deal, but when it is repeated enough, it starts to feel like the truth. And the most dangerous part is that this influence often comes from the people you trust the most. Friends, family, co-workers, not because they are trying to harm you, but because they are acting from their own fears and limitations. Epictetus taught that we must be ruthless in protecting our inner world. He said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. The same applies to influence. If you are not careful, you let the wrong voices dictate your mindset, your confidence, and even your sense of purpose. And the danger is not just in obvious negativity. Sometimes influence comes in the form of passive discouragement. Some people do not directly attack your dreams, but they never fully support them either. They are the ones who say, that is great, but, or, I just do not want to see you get hurt. Their words sound caring, but what they are really doing is planting doubt. True awareness means paying attention. It means stepping back and asking yourself, where did this thought come from? Is this belief mine? Or did I inherit it from someone else? Because once you see where your influences are coming from, you get to decide what stays and what goes. The Stoics were not afraid to cut through illusion. They trained themselves to see things as they truly were. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life on what others think of you. Their fears are not your fears. Their doubts do not have to become your doubts." But recognizing these silent forces is only the first step. The real question is, once you see them, what will you do next? Number 2. The subtle warnings how negativity creeps in. Influence does not always come in obvious forms. It is not always direct criticism or open discouragement. The most dangerous influences are the ones that slip in unnoticed, slowly shifting your mindset over time. It starts with small things. A passing comment that lingers in your mind longer than it should. A joke that feels more like an insult. A repeated doubt disguised as concern. At first, these moments seem harmless. You ignore them, thinking they do not affect you. But over time, they shape how you see yourself and the world around you. The Stoics warned about this. They understood that the people you surround yourself with either strengthen you or weaken you. Seneca advised that we should be careful not to sink under the weight of others' burdens. He knew that some people are not looking for solutions, they are looking for company in their misery. Think about the people in your life. Do you know someone who always highlights the problems, but never the solutions? Do you have a friend who makes everything feel heavier, as if life is just one endless struggle? These people do not just drain your energy, they slowly pull you into their mindset. Then there are the manipulators. They are not always obvious. They do not try to control you outright. Instead, they plant small doubts. They make you question your instincts, your decisions, and even your own judgment. You say something with confidence, and they respond with, "Are you sure about that? I heard that is really risky." At first, you do not think much of it. But when you hear it enough times, it starts to settle in your mind. Slowly, you begin to defer to them. You second-guess yourself. You hesitate on decisions that once felt clear. Before you know it, you are no longer thinking for yourself. You are reacting to the doubts they placed in you. And then there is jealousy disguised as support. Have you ever shared good news with someone only to be met with a forced smile and a half-hearted, "That is great, I guess"? Or maybe they instantly shift the conversation back to themselves, making your moment of joy feel like it never even happened. This is not just an oversight, it is a pattern. The people around you should make you stronger, not weaker. They should push you to grow, not hold you back. But what happens when they do the opposite? What happens when their words, their energy, their presence slowly chip away at you? That is when you need to pay attention. Another warning sign is the constant victim. This is the person who always has a problem, always blames others, and never takes responsibility. They pull you into their chaos, making you feel guilty if you do not get involved. But as Epictetus reminds us, you become what you give your attention to. If all your energy is spent absorbing someone else's drama, how much do you have left for your own purpose? Sometimes, before your mind catches on, your body will tell you everything you need to know. Do you feel tense around certain people? Do you catch yourself sighing the moment you see their name pop up on your phone? Do you feel lighter and more at peace when they are not around? That is not just stress. That is your body signaling that something is not right. The Stoics taught that wisdom is not just about intellectual reasoning. It is about listening, observing, and responding wisely. The first step to protecting your peace is recognizing when someone is draining it. Once you see it, you can make a choice. You can let their energy shape you, or you can take control and decide who and what gets to influence your mind. Number 3. The unseen patterns controlling you. Have you ever wondered why certain thoughts, emotions, or behaviors seem to stay with you, even when you know they are not serving you? You try to shake them off, but they linger. They shape the way you see yourself, the way you react, and the way you move through life. This is not by accident. This is influence at work. And the strongest influences are not always the loudest. They are the ones that slip in unnoticed, settling in your mind and subtly shifting the course of your decisions before you even realize it. The Stoics were obsessed with this idea. They understood that external forces shape us in ways we rarely recognize. But more importantly, they knew that true strength comes from guarding against these forces. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to filter the thoughts he allowed into his mind, knowing that the world around him would always try to impose its values, its fears, and its distractions onto him. Most people do not even realize they are being influenced. They move through life on autopilot, absorbing whatever energy surrounds them. They react instead of choosing. They drift instead of directing. And the most dangerous part is that a lot of these influences start early. The way your parents spoke to you, the kind of household you grew up in, the attitudes you were exposed to. These things shape you before you are even old enough to question them. Without realizing it, you might be carrying beliefs that are not yours. Beliefs about success. Beliefs about relationships. Beliefs about what is possible for you. Maybe you grew up around constant scarcity, and now, no matter how much you achieve, there is still a quiet fear in the back of your mind that it could all disappear. Maybe you were surrounded by criticism, and now, even in moments of confidence, you feel the need to prove yourself. And it does not stop in childhood. Every conversation you have, every social circle you are part of, every piece of content you consume is shaping you in some way. Some people knowingly or unknowingly push their limitations onto you. They do not do it with malice. They do it because it is all they know. They see risk where you see opportunity. They see obstacles where you see potential. And if you are not careful, you start seeing through their eyes instead of your own. Seneca had a simple but powerful rule. Be mindful of what you allow to shape you. He knew that you do not rise above the people you surround yourself with. You either grow with them, or you shrink to fit them. Some influences sharpen you. Some weaken you. Some make you more of yourself. Some make you someone you never intended to be. And the real challenge is recognizing the difference before it is too late. The problem is that most people do not take the time to examine where their thoughts come from. They assume that if they think something, it must be true. But the Stoics knew better. They questioned everything. They did not just accept thoughts as facts. They investigated them. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should ask yourself whether what you believe is really your own belief or something you have simply inherited from others. Because once you realize that a belief is not yours, you can choose to let it go. This is how you take back control, by becoming aware of the unseen patterns controlling you, by questioning what you accept as truth, and by making sure that the ideas shaping your life are the ones you have consciously chosen, not the ones that were unconsciously given to you. The mind is like a garden. If you do not actively plant the right seeds, the wrong ones will grow by default. If you do not choose what to focus on, others will choose for you. So the question is, who is shaping you? And more importantly, do you want them to? Number 4. How to filter out hidden threats. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every influence deserves your attention. The moment you realize this, life becomes clearer. There will always be negativity, manipulation, and subtle attempts to steer you off course. But the Stoics knew something that most people overlook. Your power is not in controlling others. It is in controlling yourself. You decide what gets in. You decide what shapes you. And once you start filtering out the noise, you stop being so easily moved. Marcus Aurelius had a habit of reminding himself you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is not just a nice idea. It is a practice. And it is how you build a life that is not dictated by other people's fears, doubts, or negativity. So what do you do when you recognize an unhealthy influence? How do you protect your mind from forces that work against you? First, pause. Do not react emotionally. The moment you get pulled into their energy, you have already lost. Most influence works through emotional triggers. When someone makes you feel defensive, insecure, or angry, they have already begun to shape your response. Epictetus used to say that the first sign of wisdom is the ability to delay reaction, because when you pause, you get clarity. You see patterns instead of isolated incidents. You recognize when someone is speaking from their own fears and not from truth. And that clarity is everything. Next, set boundaries. Not everything deserves a response. Not every person deserves full access to you. Seneca warned about spending too much time with those who drain your spirit, saying that the wise person is careful with their time because it is the one resource they can never get back. That means learning to say no, not with anger, not with resentment, but with quiet confidence. You do not have to justify it. You do not have to explain yourself. Just step back and protect your peace. And finally, strengthen yourself. The more solid you are in your values, the less others can shake you. The more you invest in wisdom, the less you will be misled. The Stoics did not just focus on avoiding bad influences. They focused on becoming so strong internally that nothing external could control them. That is where real power is. It is not about avoiding every negative person. It is about being so anchored in who you are that nothing, not words, not opinions, not outside forces, can move you from your path. Because influence only works if you allow it. Someone can try to plant doubt, but you do not have to water it. Someone can try to stir up anger, but you do not have to give it a home. The more selective you become about what you allow into your mind, the stronger you become. And the stronger you become, the less control others have over you. So the next time you feel doubt creeping in, ask yourself, is this my thought? Or is it something I have absorbed from someone else? If it is not yours, let it go. Number 5. Real-world signs when to trust your gut. There is a moment in every interaction when you feel it. That split second of hesitation. That quiet sense that something is not right. Maybe it is the way someone downplays your excitement over something important to you. Maybe it is the subtle shift in their tone when you mention a new opportunity. Or maybe it is the way you always feel unsettled after spending time with them, like a weight you cannot quite explain. That feeling is not random. That is discernment knocking. The question is, are you paying attention? The Stoics taught that clarity is not about seeing more. It is about seeing correctly. Marcus Aurelius constantly trained himself to look beyond the surface, reminding himself that people's words and actions often reveal more about them than anything else. So when someone speaks, listen, not just to what they say, but to what is underneath. Does their encouragement feel genuine, or is there hesitation? Are they happy for you, or are they just tolerating your success? Some people will not criticize you outright, but they will disguise their doubts as concern. They will ask, are you sure you can handle that? That seems like a lot of pressure. These comments seem harmless at first, but over time they chip away at your confidence. Then there are those who always steer conversations toward conflict. You start with a simple topic, but somehow they turn it into an argument or a debate. Not because they are seeking truth, but because they thrive in chaos. Seneca warned about these types, saying that some people do not want peace. They want a reaction. They want to pull you into their storm because they cannot handle the stillness of your presence. Recognizing this is key. If every interaction with someone leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or defensive, that is not just their personality. That is a pattern. And what about the ones who seem to support you, but only to a point? They celebrate your wins as long as your success does not surpass theirs. They encourage growth, but only in ways that keep you at their level. You share a new goal, and instead of pushing you forward, they remind you of past failures, of risks, of why it might not work. Not because they want to protect you, but because your growth forces them to confront their own stagnation. Epictetus put it simply, if you desire to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Not everyone will understand your path. Not everyone will celebrate it, and that is fine. What matters is whether you allow their fears to dictate your steps. Discernment is not about labeling people as good or bad. It is about recognizing who influences you and how. The wrong influence can make you doubt what you once believed in. The right influence can remind you of your own strength. The Stoics did not waste time trying to change others. They focused on seeing people as they were and choosing wisely. Once you recognize the patterns, the next step is clear. Either limit their influence or reinforce your own mindset so strongly that nothing they say can shake it. Because at the end of the day, you are responsible for what you allow into your mind. And the moment you start filtering the right way, everything changes. Number 6. The Stoic shield guarding your mind and energy. Strength is not about fighting every battle. It is about knowing which ones to walk away from. When it comes to protecting your peace, the real work is not in changing others. It is in strengthening yourself so that no outside force can pull you off course. The Stoics did not believe in isolation, but they did believe in boundaries. They understood that the mind, like a fortress, needs walls, not to keep the world out, but to control what gets in. The first step is awareness. If you do not know who or what is influencing you, you cannot protect yourself from it. Pay attention to patterns. Notice how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you leave feeling lighter, clearer, more focused? Or do you feel anxious, uncertain, drained? Marcus Aurelius made it a habit to examine his thoughts daily, filtering out anything that did not serve his higher purpose. That is the level of discipline required. You do not just let any idea settle in your mind. You evaluate it. You decide if it is worth keeping. Next, set limits. Not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Not every conversation needs your engagement. Not every opinion needs a response. Seneca put it simply: associate with those who will make a better man of you. That does not mean cutting people off at the first sign of negativity, but it does mean being intentional about where you place your energy. If someone constantly drains you, it is not selfish to take a step back, it is survival. Then strengthen your internal world. If your mind is not anchored, every passing influence will sway you. Stoicism teaches that true power comes from self-mastery. That means developing habits that reinforce your clarity. Reading, journaling, practicing stillness. Epictetus reminded his students, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. The more you rely on external validation, the easier it is for others to manipulate you. But when you build a solid foundation within yourself, the opinions, doubts, and negativity of others lose their grip. And finally, choose your influences wisely. You cannot always avoid negativity, but you can counterbalance it. Surround yourself with people who sharpen your mind, who challenge you to grow, who remind you of who you are when you forget. The company you keep either pulls you backward or pushes you forward. The choice is always yours. Number 7. Take back your power. The choice is yours. Most people drift through life without ever questioning who and what is shaping them. They wonder why they feel drained, why their confidence wavers, why their vision for the future seems to shrink over time. But the truth is, everything you allow into your life, every conversation, every relationship, every belief you adopt without thinking, is either sharpening you or dulling you. And if you do not take control of that process, someone else will. The Stoics were not concerned with controlling the world. They were concerned with controlling themselves. Their thoughts, their responses, their inner world. That is where true freedom lies. You cannot stop people from being negative. You cannot force others to see your potential, but you can choose what influences you. You can choose who gets access to your energy, your time, your mind. And that choice is everything. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is too short to be wasted on things that do not serve the soul. If someone's presence leaves you feeling small, if their words chip away at your peace, if their energy distracts rather than strengthens, you owe it to yourself to step back. This is not about resentment. It is about wisdom. You are responsible for protecting your own mind. No one else will do it for you. And here is the best part. Once you start making better choices, once you start aligning yourself with people who bring out the best in you, once you learn to guard your thoughts like a fortress, everything changes. Your confidence gets stronger, your focus sharpens, your ability to move through life with clarity and purpose becomes unstoppable. You stop being easily swayed by opinions. You stop seeking validation from those who do not understand your path. And most importantly, you step into the kind of person you were always meant to be. Conclusion. Take control or be controlled. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. Either you take control of your mind, or you allow the world to shape it for you. Most people never make this decision consciously. They go through life reacting instead of choosing, absorbing instead of filtering. And by the time they realize what has happened, they have already become someone they never intended to be. The Stoics refused to let that happen. They understood that true strength does not come from controlling the outside world. It comes from mastering yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength comes from knowing what to allow into your mind and what to reject, from choosing your influences wisely, from surrounding yourself with people who push you forward instead of holding you back. It is easy to blame others for negativity, manipulation, or discouragement. But the truth is, no one can control you unless you allow them to. Seneca put it simply, associate with those who will make a better man of you. If you want to grow, if you want to become stronger, surround yourself with those who challenge and inspire you. So ask yourself, who in your life is sharpening you? Who is dulling you? Who is feeding your doubts? Who is reinforcing your strength? Because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts is shaped by what you allow to influence you. Your mind is your fortress. Guard it. Protect it. Because once you control what enters, you control everything.